So it's interesting how it's Polyev, who is a former like protege under Harper, and then a guy who got put at his post at the central bank under Stephen Harper. So it's two Harper guys, one on the conservative and one on the liberal side. Carney kept referring to his administration as quote unquote Canada's new government during the remarks that he made after the swearing in ceremony. And it might seem like some minor rhetorical flourish, but again, in Canadian politics, phrasing is rarely accidental. There's always a meaning behind it, and that specific phrase has like political history in Canada. Again, Stephen Harper's government mandated its use in 2006 as a part of a deliberate branding exercise, signaling a break from what was 13 years of liberal rule under Jean Chrétien and then Paul Martin. So now, with Carney stepping in after a very long and increasingly stagnant tenure of Justin Trudeau, the use of Canada's new government is obviously a deliberate choice and has a deeper meaning. And political messaging is about controlling perception. It's about perception management. And that's the thing, is this phrase, Canada's new government, is a phrase that is designed to do that. It's designed to manage perception about who Carney is and what this government represents. When Stephen Harper came to power, he understood that simply taking office wasn't going to be enough. He needed Canadians to see his government as something that would be different, as a reset from what came before that. So his administration used the directive to government departments instructing to use Canada's new government instead of the federal government in many official communications, and a phrase that was used to attempt to redefine public perception and again manage perception about Harper and the Harper government. And that's the thing, is that in that time, Harper didn't position himself not just as another prime minister. His new government represented this clean break from the past and from liberal governance. So now you see Carney, again, who I mentioned is in a way connected to Harper, as Harper was the one who appointed him to be the head of the Bank of Canada. His choice to use that exact phrase obviously raises the question that he's clearly using the same type of calculus. He's stepping into power, not just after Trudeau, but nearly after a decade of liberal rule under someone who's lost their shine immensely. Voter fatigue with Trudeau had been building for a very long time, especially among Canadians who initially bought into this faux aggressive brand. Obviously, then growing disillusioned with the reality of his very empty and vapid policies. He lost the popular vote in the past two elections that he won. Carney positions himself as an outsider in many ways. Former central banker, not an elected politician, and he has every reason to distance himself from the Trudeau administration and Trudeau's leadership while still trying to maintain like the legacy of the liberal brand. And so this phrase, using the phrase Canada's new government, using this phrase Canada's new government, it obviously suggests that he wants to be seen as a departure from Trudeau and not just his logical successor. And so for Carney to position himself as this fresh start without fully abandoning the liberal legacy, it's very much a balancing act, because unlike Harper, who actually was leading a new party into power after 13 years in opposition, Carney is taking over from a leader of his own party, and the Liberals aren't in opposition. They're trying to maintain power. Their polling is surging back, but they're very vulnerable to Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives, who are positioning himself as the party of the change candidate, the candidates of frustration and like populist grievance and anti-political establishment. Carney's message is going to have to thread the needle. He needs to appear as like a clean break from Trudeau without conceding that liberal governance itself was a failure. In the end, he's using a Harper branding trick, and it's a way of signaling that it's not more of the same while still keeping the party in power. And or that's the thing, in politics every word is scrutinized. It's hard to believe that it's not intentional, and whether or not it works I think depends on if Canadians actually buy that Carney represents real change, or if they see another elite stepping into the role with basically just another script. But yeah,